Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Sodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Mr. Padmanamsa Purvaj, Guitar Sutara Satish Srimad Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Granta Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay, welcome, dear devotees, to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. They are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 24, verse number 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasyanudhasyam evasmat pitamaha kilavavrenatu swapityam yad utakutabhayam padam Diyamanam Bhagavata Param Iti Bhagavato Parate Kalosvapitari. Okay, for synonyms. Yesya, Yesya, of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anutasyam, the service. Eva, certainly. Asmat, our. Pita Maha, grandfather. Kila, indeed. Vavre, accepted. Na, not. Tu, but. Sva, own. Pitriam, paternal property. Yet, which. Uta, certainly. Ukata, bhayam, fearlessness. Padam, position. Diyamanam, being offered. Bhagavata, than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param, other. Iti, thus. Bhagavata, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uparate, when killed. Kalu, indeed. Svapitari, his own father. Okay. Translation. Bali Maharaj said, my grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, is the only person who understood his own self-interest. Upon the death of Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimhadev wanted to offer Prahlad his father's kingdom and even wanted to grant him liberation from material bondage. But Prahlad Maharaj accepted neither. Liberation and material opulence, he thought, are obstacles to devotional service, and therefore such gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not his actual mercy. Consequently, instead of accepting the results of karma and jnana, Prahlad Maharaj simply begged the Lord for engagement in the service of his servant. Wow. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed that an unalloyed devotee should consider himself a servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Lord. In Vaishnava philosophy, one should not even become a direct servant. Prahlad Maharaj was offered all the blessings of an opulent position in the material world, and even the liberation of merging into Brahman. But he refused all this. He simply wanted to engage in the service of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Therefore, Bali Maharaj said that because his grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, had rejected the blessings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in terms of material opulence and liberation from material bondage, he truly understood his self-interest. Shri Baba ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Akyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Prave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sa Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this very profound verse and purport here. Nice that we're in this section now. Hearing a little bit about Bali Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj. So, as it's said here, in Vaishnava philosophy, one should not become a direct servant. So, yeah, this verse is a lot or how do I say? This verse is a very all-encompassing verse in terms of our Vaishnava theology. And Dudu's really feeling excited this morning. So, of course, as Prabhupada said, that one should realize the greatness of God, or rather, when one realizes the greatness of God and the how small we are, then the natural byproduct of that, the natural consequence of that, is to desire to serve the Lord. So I remember when I was fairly new in Krishna consciousness, and I reached out to this brahmachari about something. And when he answered the phone and he said, Haribol, how may I serve you? And I was like, excuse me? I was so taken aback, like, how may I serve you? That's the first thing he said to me. But yeah, of course, this is kind of like common rhetoric in the Hare Krishna movement, is this idea of service and serving others. Your servant, we sign off our letters and emails, your servant, or yeah, or as I heard His Grace Vaishesh Prabhu said that the most exalted surname in the whole universe is Das or Dasi. So those who have that last name are actually the most fortunate. But of course, one may think, well, but it's like not exactly the trend nowadays that, yes, when I grew up, little Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah, I want to be a servant. It's not exactly, your parents would probably look at you like you're crazy, because yeah, this is just not ordinary, seemingly not a very exalted aspiration. Yes, I just want to be a servant of somebody else. But as we hear, Srila Prabhupada actually said, servant of the servant of the servant. He said, the more you actually become, the more you become removed from this, once removed, twice removed. So the more you're servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, the more exalted you actually become. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second. I have an inquiry regarding breakfast. Okay, sorry about that. So yes, the more one becomes, the more one is a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, then actually the more exalted one becomes. So yeah, this is very like I was saying, seemingly contradictory, but actually um, it's amazing. It actually gives the highest, actually gives the highest thing in this material world is this. And so now, if we think about what's the other option, so the other option is yes, that ultimately uh, I don't want to be a servant. Ultimately, I want to be the controller. I want to be the enjoyer. I want other people, bowing down before me, giving me things, giving me praise, all this. But as we see that yes, what does this lead to? This actually just leads to unhappiness. This actually just leads to misery. Uh, the more one tries to enjoy their senses, the more one thinks that everyone should be, doing all these things before me, bowing down before me, giving me praise and all this. Uh, the more one is miserable because it's actually not our constitutional position. So very interesting, like people generally want fame, right? You might work so hard because yes, they want some fame, like I think Facebook is now a big a big a reason that people are so attracted to it is because yes, I can become famous or I can expound my glories so the whole world will see. Like we had this when we had this group here, this one girl here was pretty famous TikToker, I guess. And another girl was like, oh, kind of trying to butter her up. They'd be in the kitchen doing cut up or whatever, and I'd be cooking, so you'd overhear their conversations. Um, she was praising her. Well, yeah, you have so many, followers on Facebook, and yeah, you're just so great, and like, however, have I ever told you how great of a person you are? And do you think you could tag me on your or a TikTok? Do you think you could tag me on your TikTok? So this girl, yeah, she was wanting this name and fame. But then what happens when people get this name and fame? Then you hear when you hear, celebrities talk about their life. Oh, I can't go anywhere. Everywhere I go, I have to wear glasses, you know, hat to cover my identity. And, I just want to do I just go to take out the trash and, I have to be conscious of what I'm throwing away because next thing you know, it could be all over TMZ. So yeah, so it's actually an unnatural position. It's actually a natural position. These things that people are striving for, uh, that are not being servants. Um, or yeah, so I so much like this statement by Prabhupada in the purport to the peace formula verse 529. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka meshwaram sudam sarvbhutanam gyaktam mam shantim rikshati. That only when one realizes that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, supreme friend, and the supreme enjoyer, only then can one actually be happy. And Prabhupada says that in the purport that people are trying to control the material world and things in the material world, but actually by trying to control more, they're actually being more controlled by those items. So in other words, you're thinking, you walk into the liquor store thinking, yes, I'm gonna see how I have everything in control. I'm gonna go get my cigarettes. I know exactly. The cashier asked me what kind I want. I know exactly what Marlboro Reds, menthol, whatever, American Spirit if you're a little more health conscious. And then I'm gonna get my cigarettes. The whole process, you feel like, yes, I'm in control here. Then I'm gonna get my cigarettes. I just have this little hand motion where I take off this plastic cellophane wrap, and then I get my cigarette. I have this whole routine, and just see how I'm controlling the situation. And then what happens? But then the reality is that this, Lord of the cigarettes is actually being controlled by these cigarettes. Their life is actually dictated by this desire. So one tries to enjoy, one tries to control matter, and what happens? One is actually controlled more and more by matter. So I like Prabhupada said, in this little side joke, he said, they have, I don't know if they still have the cigarette Cool, or what is it, Camel? I think maybe Camel. And Prabhupada said because like the slogan, I guess, was like, you can smoke the cigarette and be cool. And he said, Prabhupada said, how silly is this? They're smoking cigarettes, taking in smoke, and thinking they're becoming cool by this. So yeah, this desire is to lord it over the material nature is obviously very contradictory to our existence. And so I always like to marvel at, when you go to take prasadam, especially after a long fasting day, Janmashtami or Purnim. And there's devotees that are always very eager to serve. Like they just love serving the prasadam. And I always marvel that, well, it's interesting because, devotees in general are happy, especially on a festival day. Devotees in general are happy. But now if you look on the two sides of the table, one side is the servers, the other side is those getting served. And I always noticed that the servers seem much happier, actually. They're just, I mean, can't help but notice that, yeah, those who are serving are joking. Yeah, how are you, Prabhu? How's it going? Oh yeah, we need more sabji. And then those who of course, devotees are in general have joyful dispositions, but I thought it was always interesting. So that mood, how that mood of service actually, yeah, creates this sense of happiness. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a whole chapter actually is pretty much dedicated to this concept. And this is Adi Lila chapter 6. The chapter is the glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. And the reason this concept is of servitude and the glories of it are expounded here is because Sri Advaita Acharya is Krishna, is a form of Mahavishnu, but he comes down to experience his role as a servant. So we see in this chapter, so we know that in the Chaitanya Lila, Sri Advaita Acharya is on the level of spiritual uncle to Mahaprabhu. So he's god brothers with Lord Chaitanya's spiritual master. So by etiquette, Lord Chaitanya is supposed to offer him respects. But constantly, Advaita Acharya is yearning for this position of servitude. And of course, Lord Chaitanya, as a means of showing example to everyone else, is showing that my Guru Janas, my seniors should be respected. So it's stated in there that the etiquette is actually the god brothers of your spiritual master should be given the same respect as you would give to your spiritual master, because of being on that level. So Lord Chaitanya is, displaying these on reverence mood etiquette towards Advaita Acharya, but Advaita Acharya actually doesn't want it, and so much so that he devises this plan where he starts to speak Mayavad philosophy. So we all have our trigger points, right? People are triggered by different things. Well, apparently that was Lord Chaitanya's trigger point, because when Lord Chaitanya heard Advaita Acharya speaking this Mayavad philosophy, he actually hit him. He displayed some physical force towards Advaita Acharya. And then Advaita Acharya was just in ecstasy. Yes, just see, now I've attained my desired result. So some verses from this chapter. So Advaita Acharya is saying, Nityananda and I are servants of Lord Chaitanya. Nowhere else is there such joy as that which is tasted in the emotion of servitude. The most beloved goddess of fortune resides on the chest of Sri Krishna. Yet she too, earnestly praying, begs for the joy of service at his feet. Sri Nityananda, the wandering mendicant, is the foremost of all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. He became mad in the ecstasy of service of Lord Chaitanya. And then there's a verse in here that says, that taking on the mood of servant of the Lord brings incalculable amount more happiness than even the bliss of merging into the Brahman effulgence. And of course, this mood of servitude, dasya ras, is pervading through all the different rasas. So it's actually the basis of all the other rasas is this mood of servitude. So we as devotees devotees of the devotees of the devotees, can, yes, really try to imbibe this. I mean, with this guiding statement that, Prabhupada saying the more one becomes a servant removed, once removed, twice removed, thrice removed, then actually the more exalted one is. So, yeah, we should very much try to imbibe this. And how attractive will that be? If the world sees a society of people who have this mood of service to each other, and of course, and just as the mood of service is all pervading and is the basis of the other relationships with Krishna, our direct relationship with Krishna. Also, okay, we might have different relationships with our God family and with other devotees, parent, child, husband, wife, friend, and friend. But the also the kind of basis of those relationships can also be service. And yeah, just think about how attractive that would be to the whole world to see, like a group of people, a society of people who have this mood of service, who don't envy each other like that. So it's actually said that even if one, like, say I'm talking to someone and I think sometimes we want to gossip about others, right? Oh yeah, let me gossip about this person. And sometimes we think, yeah, if me and this person start gossiping about another person, that'll actually bring our relationship closer. But actually, it's been found that, or just one statement made by a person who studies this is that actually, if you gossip, if you and a person are together and gossiping about another person, that actually hurts your relationship with the person you're gossiping with, because then they're thinking, well, if he's gossiping about someone else to me, then he can also, maybe he's going to gossip about me behind my back. So sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'm strengthening my relationship with this person because by gossiping about someone else, but actually it's actually having the opposite effect. So how attractive this this mood would be in to see in a society. So I heard one nice statement that everyone should have somebody to serve. Okay, like if you have your temple president, okay, serve him. If you're whatever traveling with your guru, like that. But everyone should have some senior devotee to ultimately serve. Because in this way, of course, they'll make sure you don't kind of go off the rails, get off track. But also then you can actually imbibe these principles. You can learn this mood of servitude. You can start practicing imbibing this consciousness of, how is this person feeling? What can I do to serve them? How can I go beyond my own needs and desires to serve them? That just like the spiritual master, right? The spiritual master is there as a way to tangibly serve. I mean, of course, the deity is also there for that, but the deity won't always tell you, what kind of nonsense service is this. Like, remember I was in Mayapur and one guru, he was doing a kirtan in the evening, and he goes down to do his kirtan, and apparently his harmonium's not there. And then so he looks at his servant and said, "You had all day to do this one service, and you couldn't do it." Like this one little simple task you couldn't do. So yeah, so having that kind of being able to serve that direct person is such a powerful experience. And ultimately, by serving those great souls, then one actually gets their qualities also. Like this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahat Seva Dwaram Bhur Vimukte Namo Dwaram Yosita Sangha Sangha Mahantaste Samachita Prasanta Vimanyava Suhida Sadhavoye. So this verse is saying that, yeah, actually the only way to attain liberation from this material world, even if one wants impersonal liberation, the only way to do this is actually by serving a Mahatma. And then it goes on to describe the qualities of that Mahatma. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. So whether one wants liberation, actually whether one wants anything in this world, generally it comes by serving those who are proficient in it. Like even if one wants to learn, how to do something, right? Well, you're probably not going to learn very much if you go into the place thinking, I'm the boss. I already know everything. You don't need to tell me. No, if one has a submissive attitude, yes, I know nothing. Please teach me. Let me serve you. Shows gratitude by whatever. Like that's why the Brahmanas don't work for money. The Brahmanas give out their knowledge, give out their wisdom, and then people feel so indebted to them that they give money. So and then by the advising Brahmanas, seeing, oh yeah, just see how appreciative this person is, we're willing to give some appreciation of gratitude by a little donation, then that Brahmana, yes, is more inclined to give knowledge. So yeah, it's really the key is through serving the devotees like that. And then by doing that, then we also get their same qualities. So it's yeah, even though this principle is very contrary to kind of the current of the world, it's ultimately what we're trying to do. And the more one can stay in this mood of servitude, then the more one will make advancement, the happier one will be. And yeah, ultimately, the more inspiring one will be to others. And the more one will just be like the fish will be back in the water. The fish will be in its natural constitutional position. So if anyone wants to read more on this, Adi Lila, chapter 6, lots of nice verses on it. Okay, so I think I'll stop there. Are there any questions and comments? Okay, we have a very enthusiastic comment from our live viewer. Okay, she has a question.
on that percent. Seems like you have very coaching, living lots of service, basically from another. So,
Okay, so the question is, if we live, it's been observed that sometimes when we live in association of devotees, we can become familiar with them. So, yeah, and maybe like become a little rough. And so how can we prevent this and maintain that mood of servitude? Good question. Yeah, of course, it's a great wealth to be living with devotees. Like I heard one devotee saying that, service to devotees is such a wonderful thing. And therefore, we actually always have the opportunity to serve. If one is in association with devotees, then you're just swimming in an ocean of possibilities for service. And His Holiness Devamrita Swami says also that your spiritual senses can come alive by thinking how you can serve the devotees. So it's a great benediction. And one may think, oh, okay, we're not supposed to offend devotees. And, maybe I'm a little bit of an offensive personality, one may think. So let me just not associate with devotees then, because then I can check that box off, that I won't commit this offense. But actually, no, yeah, we need the association devotees. We need the association devotees. So how to not make offenses when one and keep the proper mindset and not get too familiar with devotees. Well, I would say, what's my realization on that? Not very much. What do you think? I mean, yeah, one should realize, His Holiness Devamrita Maharaj makes this point also that, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu made this nice point that, okay, because, when he joined, he realized like, these people are kind of crazy, like he was saying, I come from a nice family, very structured family, very like cultured family by the Western standard. And now I'm like sleeping with these wild people, and what the heck? This is like, I would never do this, ordinarily. But he said that he realized the benefits are so much that I can tolerate any little inconvenience, because no matter how wild the devotee is, still the devotee is living a certain lifestyle, which living a certain lifestyle which is not going to have bad influences on you. Your roommate in the ashram is not going to walk in smelling like cigarettes and rum, and like, God, what the heck. And then they are ultimately devotees, so their desire in life is to become a devotee. And so that, being in that influence is so much more powerful than being in the association of those whose goal it is not to become devotees. And it's a very subtle thing, so that's why we see when someone, oh, I just changed ashrams, I want to save up some money, I'll go live with mom. Sometimes they might have saved money, but they didn't save their devotional life, because you can see that they stray away. And it's because of this subtle, this subtle, the subtle contamination that comes by associating with non-devotees. You try to say something, oh yeah, whatever, you try to make some, share your realization about Krishna consciousness, and they're just like, I remember being with one of my family members and just saying one little thing, and then they just made some snarky remark. And I was thinking, whoa, yeah, I don't know, I don't know how many of these snarky remarks I would be able to handle, like, before I start making snarky remarks about, being a servant of the servant of the servant is the highest thing. You tell that to a non-devotee, what are they going to think? So I think if we see the benefits, then we can tolerate the association, and not only tolerate, by being educated on how dear the devotees are, then we can know in the back of our minds that we can't treat these people like ordinary people. Like what does Krishna himself say? My dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor Sankarshan, the goddess, nor the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self are as dear to me as you are. So the devotees are amazingly dear to Krishna. And yeah, by remembering this, and by remembering how offending devotees and wanting to hurt devotees is so detrimental to our spiritual life, then yeah, we'll have second thoughts. Very long-winded answer, I'm sorry. Do you have anything you want to say about that? What's been your realization? Living with devotees, close proximity for so many years. Service Olympics. Wow. Service Olympics, folks. Here, now you heard it. You heard it here. Service Olympics, making a sport out of serving devotees. Yeah, I noticed. Maybe we have a comment from a pujari. Maybe we have a comment from a. Okay, well, I noticed the New Zealand devotees. They're just very they love to serve. Like they take your plates, like they forcefully take your plates to clean them and stuff. And I got in a few wrestling matches with devotees in the pujar. Sorry, okay, I'm getting told. Okay, Leela Madeira, did you come out to say something? Okay, Leela Madeira has a question. Okay, maybe. By the okay, she's asking a clarifying question about the Brahmana being. I was saying that when the Brahmana receives some donation, he's more willing to give knowledge. So she's wondering about that. Okay. So my point was just the mood of gratitude, not that. So it's natural when somebody is great, like if you give somebody something and they're grateful for it, yeah, then you're more likely, your heart is more softer to like want to give more to that person. But what are you thinking? The Brahmana gives unconditionally.
Please, someone. We should explain what all this is. I'm giving you this one because you have everything when you're a friend. But it's not like, oh, okay. Because when you formulate this in that way, okay, it is the nation and then we're inspired.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm like Brahmana. I'm not speaking about myself. Just a real Brahmana doesn't think, oh, I need something for livelihood, fire, It's not his motivation at all. He knows. I'm not this buyer. made purification of the brother. So he inspired to give to suitable candidate when other person demonstrates qualities suitable for his receiving the knowledge. That's the pride. And it may appear in form of donation, but not only in that form. It just could be there, might not be there.
Yeah.
Because it might be service also.
Yeah.
Like
That's more, yeah, that's more the
The main impetus or main inspiration for giving knowledge is qualification of our person. Like, why should Buddha style also inspired to speak about it? Because of qualification.
Yeah.
And so many examples are there. Because of qualification, because of some external reciprocation.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. No, thank you. I did feel, honestly, I did feel a little weird saying that about, so Leander was kindly pointing out that maybe this example of how the Brahmana is more willing to give when someone gives a donation, more willing to give knowledge when someone gives a donation, is maybe not the proper mood of a real Brahmana. You know? She was making the point, the Brahmana wants to give more based on the qualification of the hearer. So appreciate that. And I guess I was just more trying to make the point of, reciprocation and how one wants to give something when they can see some form of gratitude. So I guess that form of gratitude can either be through, the person taking the instructions to heart, or, one saying, well, I really appreciate what you've given, and now I want to show my gratitude by giving you something back. But yeah, maybe that's of course we know the Brahmana just gives, wants to give and doesn't do it as a business, like, okay, this person is giving me this much, so I'll, give them that much, and I'll preach to this person because they're rich and will give me money. No, that's not the move. I was just more making the point of seeing the gratitude one wants to give more. So thank you, Lady Madhurya. I knew there was a reason I came and gave the class in the temple room today. Okay, anyone online has anything?
Hello, Prabhu.
Okay, Gary Krishna Prabhu.
Hello, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your class. Just on this contentious point about brahmanas appearing transactional. So Krishna, he gives definitions of, persons in different varnas, but those definitions are the topmost. So it's not that you can't have mixtures of the lower modes happening with the brahmanas and persons who have the title. They're legitimate brahmanas, but they are functioning on the lower modes. So the example that you gave, that's still, it still has validity. And there's two Mahabharata, stories that I'm thinking about right now. So there are transactional brahmanas, who are in the lower modes, and then there's brahmanas in the top modes too, even though they're not transactional, but they still are amendable to the loving exchange, because ultimately a donation is a loving exchange. You're thinking about the welfare of the Brahmana. And so then the Brahmana is receiving that charity because you're thinking, the Brahmana can actually use it for the sacrifice of the Lord. So, for example, with the birth of Draupadi and Drishtadyumna, Drupada, he took shelter of a Brahmana by the name, I think, of Upajati, and he was the topmost Brahmin. And he said he tried to, render service to him for a whole year, and he asked him to perform a sacrifice so that he can bear a son who will kill Drona. But this Brahmana wasn't in the lower modes, and so he was not reluctant. He was not, he didn't want to perform this kind of sacrifice. But he said his brother, he observed his brother eating the remnants of other people, and he would also eat food from the floor. And so he said, for such a person who can't make definitions for what is clean and unclean, definitely they will actually perform this sacrifice to bear a son that will kill your enemy. And so that's what happened. And so because this Brahmana was the older brother, the Brahmana in the lower modes, he actually accepted to actually perform the sacrifice, which really, when you think about the qualities that Krishna, he says about a Brahmana, that they are forgiving, that they are tolerant. For a Brahmana to perform this kind of sacrifice, according to that definition, it wouldn't happen. But he still had the title of a Brahman. So, he was saying, my older brother is actually more of a transactional Brahman. So you give him a donation, and he'll actually reciprocate with your request. And then with regards to Arjuna, so Arjuna, he was also had brahminical qualities, even though he was a Kshatriya. And so what happened was I think they had just been poisoned, not poisoned. They were running away from the house of Lak that was burned down. And so they were in the forest. And so they met a Gandharva, and this Gandharva, he was preventing them from accessing a garden. And Arjuna, he challenged the Pandavas, and Arjuna met the challenge and he defeated him. And so this, and so this Chitraratha, I think that's his name, he basically was saved by his wife. So Arjuna was about to kill him, and his wife came and prayed to Arjuna to spare him, and so he got spared. And so then he wanted to reciprocate with Arjuna by giving him his chariot, and he was also hoping that, that's really how he wanted to reciprocate. Arjuna didn't accept that, so he was like, it is just my duty to give you shelter. I don't want a payment. Shri Damodar ki jai. Okay, anyway, we can talk about this point another time.